Shalom, shalom, Israel. This is No Saint Left Behind once again. Going live, coming back with part two of Who Are the Hebrew Israelites. Gonna do a little continuation of what I went into last weekend. Yeah, it's a little chilly and a little rainy out here. Found a little spot to be at where, don't get too much rain on me. But you still got holes in it. But this will work for now. The enemy, try to get me to stay in because it's cold and wet. You know what I'm saying? You shouldn't go out there by yourself. But the Spirit came and quickened me. You know what I'm saying? Most High said, the Spirit told me that every man must work out his own salvation with fear and trembling. You know what I'm saying? So can't nobody save me but Yahweh Shai and myself. So with that being said, we'll get started into this lesson. First, I just want to start out with saying all praises to Yahweh, Bahashim, Yahweh Shai, Bahashim, Rikar Kodash. Double honors to the apostles and elders of Great Millstone. Shalom to the Akims out there that's teaching this word and been faithful, rehearsing these law, statutes, commandments to the best of their ability. Shalom. So let's get back into this lesson from last week. And I believe we ended at Deuteronomy chapter 28, verse 7. So I'm going to go ahead and go into, I'm going to stay in Deuteronomy chapter 28. Let me see. Let me see where we started at. Let me see. We ended at verse 28. So I'm going to go ahead and start off with verse 29. Verse 29 reads, Deuteronomy chapter 8, verse 29. And this is who are the Hebrew Israelites today, man. So we're going to find out who are the Hebrew Israelites. Who fit in these curses. Who out here fitting these curses and living these curses? Who are these curses following? What people is this book describing? Which we know as you so-called Negroes, Hispanics, and Native Americans. Hold on a second. You know what I'm saying? This is the people. These are the Hebrew Israelites today. This book is describing these people. All right, you so-called Negroes, Hispanics, and Native Americans. So, we're going to go ahead and get into this thing. Deuteronomy chapter 28, verse 29. And it reads, and thou shalt grope at noonday as the blind gropeth in darkness, and thou shalt not prosper in thy ways, and thou shalt be only oppressed and spoiled evermore, and no man shall save thee. So, what people today in the four corners of the earth, which is you so-called Negroes, Hispanics, and Native Americans, what people is not prospering? We the only people out here that's not prospering, man. Because these curses fit us. We're going through these curses because we didn't want to keep the Most High's law, statutes, commandments. We want to do our own thing. We want to follow at these other nations. So now we got to endure these curses that we're going through today. And it says, I'm going to read it again, 29, and thou shalt grope at noonday, as the blind gropeth in the darkness. And so if you know a blind man always bumping and running into things. A blind man don't know his way around. Why? Because he can't see. And the Bible say that we will do that in the noonday. So even though we can see, we operating as blind men because why? We don't know who we are. We serving different gods, which is Christianity, Islam, and Buddhism, and whatever else you into. We into all kind of things, man. The Bible tells that the Most High created righteous men, but we end up creating wicked inventions ourselves. So we are walking around like dead men, man. That's why the Bible said that our dead bodies shall lie in the streets, because we dead men walking. We don't know where we came from or where we going. We just know what people told us, which is the so-called white men, the Edomites, what they told us in history, and that's what we believe, which is a lie. We are the Hebrew Israelites, man. We are the lost 12 tribes of Israel. So, and not only that, the Most High said 2/3 of our people are going to perish. He deliberately, the Most High Yahweh deliberately blind, 2/3 of our people. That's why they groping around in the new day as the blind man does at night. Matter of fact, I got a precept for this. Let me go into, let's go to Isaiah 66. Isaiah 66 and 4. Let's see what Isaiah 66 and 4 say. Isaiah chapter 66, verse 4. It says, I also will choose their delusions and will bring their fears upon them. Because when I called, none did answer. When I spake, they did not hear. Salaki, excuse me. But they did evil before my eyes and chose that in their in Salakia and chose that in which I delighted not. So the Most High said that He was going to choose our delusion. So ask yourself today, what delusion are you in? Because whatever delusion you in is what the Most High chose that particular delusion for you. You might be an atheist. The Most High blinded you in that. That's the delusion He gave unto you. You might be in Christianity, Islam, Buddhism, whatever you in, that delusion is what the Most High chose for you. He said He had blinded you. So He gave that to you. Why? Because you didn't want to do what He said do. You didn't want to rehearse His law, statutes, commandments. I mean, you even got some people that's calling themselves Hebrew, I mean, that know they're Hebrew Israelites, but they don't know the name. They don't know the Father's name is Yahweh and the Son's name is Yahweh Shai. They won't call on it. Like IUIC, they call on what? They say Most High Christ bless. The hell is that? That's a different God. That's not our power. Those are titles. You know, those are titles that the Edomites gave us, so-called white men gave us. They were not our gods. That's their gods. So the Most High has chosen a lot of you all's delusion, man. You know what I'm saying? And He told you the reason why He chose your delusion. He said, this is Isaiah 66 and 4. I also will choose their delusions and will bring their fears upon them. Because when I called, none did answer. So how did He call? He calling right now through who? Through the prophets. He got the prophets out here on the highways and byways, man. Every weekend. And making doing set downs through the week. Because the Most High is calling through them. He's calling through us. We are the vessels. You know what I'm saying? Isaiah was that 58 and 1. Let me go there right quick. Isaiah 58 and 1 said, cry out, spare not, lift up thy voice like a trumpet, and show my people their transgressions, in the house of Jacob their sins. That's you so-called Negroes, Hispanics, and Native Americans, man. You Israelites, the Most High told us to cry out and show you where you're going wrong at. To don't pity you. Tell me, why you talking to me that way? Why you got to be so blunt, so bold? That's how the Most High made us, man. We don't serve no effeminate power. We serve a righteous, manly power. For He said He's a God of war. That means a power of war, man. Yahweh Ba'ashem Yahweh Shai. So that's our job. And as the Most High used us to call out, you did not answer. And then He says, when I spake, thou did not hear. Back at Isaiah 66 and 4. When I spake, thou did not hear. And He's speaking through His vessels, which are the prophets. But they did evil before my eyes, and chose that in which I delighted not. So the Most High said you continue doing evil in His eyes, serving other gods. You in like these different religions. You in Christianity, Islam, and all these different religions. You're homosexuals. You know what I'm saying? Other men sleeping with other men and women. And women jumping from men to men. So you're doing wicked in the eyes of the Most High. You delighted in it. You know what I'm saying? You're doing wicked in His eyes. You eat unclean foods, shrimp, lobster, pork. I mean, you eating the things, abominations, man. Raccoons, possums, gator. So you eating things that the Most High said is unclean. So you're not rehearsing His law, statutes, commandments, and that's the delusion He gave unto you. So He the one caused you to be blind. All right? Let me continue on. I'm going back to Deuteronomy 28 and 29. And He said, and He says, and thou shalt grope. Deuteronomy chapter 28, verse 29. And thou shalt grope at noonday as the blind groping in darkness. And thou shalt not prosper in thy ways. And thou shalt be only oppressed and spoiled ever. And no man shall save thee. And so what does it mean, the Most High mean by you should not prosper in your ways? All right, so let's go to Haggai Hagar 1 and 6. Let's see what Hagar 1 and 6 says about. See what the one Hagar 1 and 6 says. Hagar 1 and 6. Ye have sown much and bring in little. Ye eat, but ye have not enough. Ye drink, but ye are not filled with drink. Ye clothe ye clothe you, but there is none warm. And he that earneth wages to put it into a bag with holes. So that's what the Most High mean by that. You know what I'm saying? By you should not prosper, and thou should not prosper in thy ways. So in these jobs that we got, in these so-called businesses that some of our people may have, you still not prospering because just like the word say, man, you earning wages and you putting it in a bag with holes. Soon as you get the money gone. You just like got holes in your pocket. You stuffing money, but it's falling out the other side. You know what I'm saying? Like they said that in our community, you know what I'm saying, the so-called Negro, Hispanic, Native American community, as soon as we get money, it don't even circulate in our community. And they said within 3 months, the money don't even circulate in our community. As soon as we get it, it's outside of our community, and it's in these so-called Edomites. I mean, these so-called Caucasians, these Edomites community. You giving your money to the Chinese, the Arabs, the Red Dot East Indians that's in your community. All these other nations, these African Hamites that got these stores in our community. So all these different nations is in our community oppressing us. And as soon as we get our money, it goes to them. That's why we can't prosper. And we got such an evil towards one another, towards our brothers, that we won't even, like they say, buy black. Which I ain't seen nobody black. We different shades of brown. But they say buy black. But if you so-called buy black, they're gonna charge you more than what this man is over here charging you, because this man over here get it cheaper, but the so-called black man get it at a higher rate. So he can't charge you these prices. That shows you that we're not prospering, because we are the Hebrew Israelites, man. You Negroes, Hispanics, and Native Americans. The Bible is talking about us. You know what I'm saying? And he says that back at 28, Deuteronomy 28 and 29, and thou shalt be only oppressed and spoiled evermore, and no man shall save you. So you see that we're oppressed every day, man. You know, like I said last week, man. We the last high and first fire, man. We oppressed. The cops are shooting us down in the streets. I mean, man, you see blue lights, man, your heart drops to your stomach. You terrified, you fear, man. If you at home at nighttime and you hear sirens, you wonder if it's one of your family members or one of your children, because we oppressed. We oppressed, man. Just like these restaurants up my way now, they got a thing that you can't wear ball caps and white tees into the bars. Why is that? Because they know you so-called Negroes like to wear white t-shirts and ball caps. So you being oppressed. They don't even want you in their establishments, man. Everything is like it's going back to the 60s. Pretty soon they're going to tell you if you want something to eat, you got to come to the back door. But y'all love these people, man. You got to love your own. You got to wake up to your nationality, man, that you a Hebrew Israelite, man. Come back and rehearse these law, statutes, and commandments and call on the Most High Yahweh and His Son Yahweh Shai. And the Bible said that we, in this verse, it said we should be spoiled forevermore. Spoil means to be robbed, you know what I'm saying? To be raped. You know, because the word rape just means to snatch up. You know what I'm saying? When you grab somebody, that doesn't mean it means to grab. That's what rape means. So they just snatching us up and throwing us in the police car, putting fake charges on us. They doing what they want to do to us, man, because we are spoiled all the day long, man. We're oppressed every day. This word is only talking about us, you so-called Negroes, Hispanics, and Native Americans. All right, let's go to Deuteronomy 28 and 30. It says, thou shalt betroth a wife, and another man shall lie with her. Thou shalt, see what let me stop right here. Deuteronomy chapter 28, verse 30. Thou shalt betroth a wife, and another man shall lie with her. So that's called adultery right there, right? So what people you know that had a wife, that got a wife and another man laid with her. Excuse me. You so-called Negroes, Hispanics, and Native Americans, man. Back in slavery, man, when you was with your wife, who was taking your wife? The so-called white man. The Edomites was taking your wife and raping them. Raping them in your face. Taking your woman and screwing her, running trains on your woman in your face, man. That's what this word is talking about. You should be taught a wife, and another man should lie with her, man. They was trading. That's why the Bible say that. Hold on. Let me go to Joel chapter 3 right quick. Because if you watch the movie Birth of a Nation, that Nat Turner movie, they show you dead in the movie. You know what I'm saying? He took the man's wife, took him in there and screwed and sent them back. Let me go to Joel's. I'm going to show you what they did. And this is what, in that movie, Birth of a Nation, they showed you this. Joel's chapter 3, I believe. Let me see. Give me 1 second. I need to find this. Oh, yeah, Joel chapter 3 and verse 3. It says, and they have cast lots for my people, and have given a boy for an harlot, and sold a girl for wine, that they might drink. So they was taking your wife and giving it to another slave master or one of the other visitors that come into their plantation. They give them wine. They give them your wife to have sex with. You know what I'm saying? And it said it sold a boy for a harlot. That means because they was breeding us like animals, man. They was making the son sleep with his mother. The son was sleeping with his mother, with his sister. That's how they was breathing us. That's what they did. And so that's what this word is talking about. And they sold your wife for wine in your eyes, right there in your face while you watched. And it says, let me continue. Verse 30, Deuteronomy 28. Thou shalt betroth a wife, and another man shall lie with her. Thou shalt build a house, and thou shalt not dwell therein. And if you notice, we built these plantation houses. Shit, we built the White House, and we ain't in that. You know what I'm saying? So your home, they came and confiscated your home. To this day, you think that you own your home. Miss 1 or 2 mortgage payments. They gonna come take your home, and what's gonna happen? Somebody else gonna be living in your home. Somebody else gonna be living in your home, man. So this word only fits us, you so-called Negroes, Hispanics, and Native Americans, man. And it says, and thou shalt build a house, and thou shalt not dwell therein. Thou shalt plant a vineyard, and shall not gather the grapes thereof. That goes with your crops, your gardens, whatever you plant, they came and they took for themselves, especially the natives. You know what I'm saying? The Gad and Reuben and Issachar that was here in the United States. Really the Northern Kingdom. They came and took their houses. They came and took all their crops. They killed all their buffaloes so they couldn't get nothing to eat. You know what I'm saying? They did that to us, man. This book is talking about us. Verse 31. Thy ox shall be slain. I was just talking about the buffalo. Listen right here. Deuteronomy 28:31. Thou ox shall be slain before thy eyes, and thou shalt not eat thereof. And that's what the Edomites did, man. The red Hebrew Edomites, the so-called white men, they came and they killed all of the buffaloes over here in America. You know what I'm saying? They killed out Gads and Reubens and Issachar buffaloes, man, to starve them out. They killed out millions of buffaloes just to starve them out, so they couldn't eat of these buffaloes. And that's what this word is talking about. It said that ox shall be slain, and you should not eat of the meat. Because that's what the so-called white man came and did, man. The Edomites came over here to America and killed all the buffaloes. And they brought pigs over here. And rats on them ships. That wasn't in America. They brought pigs and rats into America. That didn't do well. Them animals didn't come from here. They brought that from Europe and all up through those places and brought them here to America. So they came and they killed the oxen. They killed out the buffaloes so that the natives could starve out. Because that was their main source of meat. That was Reuben, Gad, and Issachar's main source of meat here in America, man. And it says, thou shalt be violently taken away from before thy face. He says, okay, I'm going to start again, 28, 31. Thou ox shall be slain before thy eyes, and thou shalt not eat thereof. Then thou ass shall be stolen. Hold on, Salakia. Thou ass shall be violently taken away from before thy face, and shall not be restored to thee. Thou sheep shall be given unto thy enemy, and thou shalt have none to rescue them. So they're just talking about the animals, man. My page is getting wet. That's talking about these animals that Reuben and Gad and the Northern Kingdom, man. The Northern Kingdom here in the States, United States. They ass, which is their donkeys, and and they sheep. The so-called white man came and just took all their source of surviving, man. They starved them out. And then they gave them smallpox and killed them out, man. They killed over 200 million Native Americans, man. Hell, Thanksgiving come from when they slain, 77 million natives, man. Reuben and Gad, they slayed 77 million of them. And then had a meal and called it Thanksgiving. And it says, shall none to Salakia. Thou sheep shall be given unto thy enemies, which is so-called white men, or the Edomites, and thou shalt have none to rescue them. So that means you didn't have nobody to help you. You didn't have nobody to rescue your animals, man. You know what I'm saying? To help you out, because they came over here with guns and everything, man. You know what I'm saying? The natives, the Northern Kingdom only had spears and bow and arrows and things of that nature. So-called white men, the Edomites, came over here with guns, man. Musket guns. Verse 32. Thy sons and thy daughters shall be given unto another people, and thy eyes shall look and fail with the longing for them all the day long, and there shall be no might in thy hand. Excuse me. So he said our sons and our daughters should be given to another people, man. And thy eyes shall look and fail with longing for them all the day long, and there shall be no might in thy hand. That means when they was taking our children, man, when they was taking our children and selling our children, it was taking them and ripping them from us right there in front of our eyes, man. And we was looking and longing, had a desire to try to get them back, but we didn't have the strength and the might and the army and the power to get our children back, man. They just snatched our kids up from us. They just took our children and sold our kids, raped our children. Like they said, they sold a boy for a harlot, which was a breather. And they sold a girl for wine. Matter of fact, let's go back to Joel. So that they snatched up our kids, man, and we couldn't get them back, and they sold them before our eyes. And so I'm going to go to Joel 3, and I'm just going to go ahead and read this. Joel 3 and 6. The children also of Judah and the children of Jerusalem have ye sold unto the Grecians. The Grecians are the Greeks, the Edomites, the red Hebrew Edomites, so-called white men, that ye might remove them far from their borders. So, this only happened to us, man. You so-called Negroes, Hispanics, and Native Americans, and you confusing some faces. You know what I'm saying? The so-called Africans, them Hamites, and them Ishmaelites, them Arabians, so-called Arabians, Muslims, gathered us up, sold us to the white men, the Edomites, the Grecians, the Greeks. All right? And then over here in America, the Spaniards, the French, and the British, they was all over here, like the Northern Kingdom, the so-called Native Americans and the Hispanics, they was already in the harsh enslavement 100 years before the transatlantic slavery, before we came from the West Coast to America. They was already shipping them to Spain and Portuguese and all. I mean, they was already going through hell over here. And then when we came over here, they 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 released the pressure off them and put it all on us with extra. So this word is talking about us, man. Nobody but us. Because we are the Hebrew Israelites, man. That's who the Hebrew Israelites are today. Us. Let's keep going. Where we at? We at verse 33. The fruit of thy land and all thy laborers shall a nation which thou knowest not eat up. And that's talking about your so-called, that's talking about the Edomites, man. The so-called white man came over here and just took the land from the natives. You know, the northern kingdom. They just took America, took all their crops, took all their animals and everything, man. And they ate it up in their eyes, in front of them. And that's that nation that is talking about, the red Hebrew Edomites. And thou shalt be only oppressed and crushed always. It said that you was only going to be oppressed and crushed always. So how are we oppressed and crushed always? So like, give me 1 second. It's raining. Hold on. I'm gonna see if I can hold this and teach. But it said we should be oppressed. Hold on, give me a second. Yeah, this might work. It says that I'm at Deuteronomy 28 and 33, and it says, "In the fruit of thy land and all the laborers shall a nation which thou knowest not eat up," which is the so-called white men, the Edomites. They took America. You know, they took everything that came with America, the people, you know, the crops, the animals. They took everything. And it says, "And thou shalt be only oppressed and crushed always." Now, what people is oppressed and crushed always? You so-called Negroes, Hispanics, Native Americans, man. You know, you Negroes are where in the ghettos. Where the natives at? The Hispanics and Negroes are in the ghettos, and the Native Americans are what? They're on reservations. And in the ghettos that we are in, it's like a 5-star hotel compared to these damn reservations that they got our people on, man. These people on reservation living in huts. I'm telling you, it's terrible, man. But the Bible said we're gonna be oppressed and crushed always. We still oppressed and crushed, man. It's been what, over 500 years, man. They've been oppressing us and crushing us, man, forever, man. Because we went off, man. We didn't want to rehearse these laws, statutes, commandments, and do what the Most High said. That's why the Bible says, is Israel a homeborn slave? Yeah, because we've been going through this pain for decades, centuries, thousands of years, man, because we didn't want to act right. Every time the Most High give us a little bit freedom, we jack it off. Go back to serving other nations. Go back to serving other gods. So like you know what I'm saying? And doing what the other nations was doing. We caused this on ourselves. Now we got to get right on ourselves, man. Let's go to verse 34. "So that thou shalt be mad for the sight of thy eyes, which thou shalt see." Excuse me, Slakia. So that I'm gonna read. It says I'm gonna read 33 and go into 34 with it. It says, "The fruit of thy land and all thy labors shall a nation which thou knowest not eat up," the Edomites, because we didn't know nothing about these devils. That's why the so-called natives call them the pale face. You know what I'm saying? Call them Satan. That's what they was, and that's who they are. "And thou shalt be only oppressed and crushed always." Verse 34. "So that thou shalt be mad, for the sight of thy eyes, which thou shalt see." So the Most High said that he's allowing this to happen to us so that we can be driven mad, man. So that we can be mad. You know what I'm saying? And call on him. So he had to put this pressure on us to make us call out to him, man. Because if this pressure wasn't on us, we'll still be doing what we want to do. Just look at during the Moors, when the Moors was up there in the European Union, up there in Spain and Ireland and Europe and Russia, you know what I'm saying? When they was up there ruling, they were still being wicked. They was still practicing. They were practicing Islam, Christianity. You know what I'm saying? They were serving Thor, Zeus. So we were still being wicked, man. So the Most High had to put this pressure on us to make us call out to him, man. What they say, pressure bust pipes. So the Most High had to crush us in order for us to call on him. Like the words say, man, it's best that you fall on the stone than the great millstone fall on you. You know what I'm saying? So the best thing for us to do is to fall on the stone and make that stone our foundation, which is Yahweh Shai. Yahweh Ba'ashim Yahweh Shai. But if this stone fall on you, which is the judgment of the Most High, then you're going to be destroyed. I mean, you're going to, tell you, it's about to go down out here, man. And if you're not living right and calling on Yahweh Ba'ashim Yahweh Shai, you're going to go through this shit. You're going to go through it, I'm telling you. Verse 35. Yahweh shall smite thee in the knees and in the legs with a sore botch that cannot be healed from the sole of thy feet unto the top of thy head. You know, that's just talking about the different, pains and things that we getting, man, through our bodies, man. You know, the inflammation in our knees and the ankles and legs, man. You know what I'm saying? You see people walking around, they got these boils on their legs and on their face. So the Most High said, I mean, those are curses that the Most High cursed us with, man. Verse 36. Yahweh shall bring thee and thou king, which thou shalt set over thee, unto a nation which neither thou nor thy fathers have known. And there shalt thou serve other gods, wood and stone. So the Most High said that he was going to, Yahweh said, let me read it again. Yahweh shall bring thee, this is verse 36, Yahweh shall bring thee and thou king, which thou shalt set over thee, unto a nation which neither thou nor thy fathers have known. And there shalt thou serve other gods, wood and stone. So the Most High allowed these nations to overtake us, man. He allowed these Edomites, these Ishmaelites, you know what I'm saying, these Hamites. So he allowed all these nations, man, to overcome us because we didn't want to rehearse these laws, statutes, commandments to the best of our ability. And he said that we should serve other gods, man. Wood and stone. What people you know that's serving other gods? We the only people that don't have our own power, our own God. You know what I'm saying? The wood and stone. That's Christianity and Islam. You know what I'm saying? Christianity got the wood, which is the cross. Islam got the copper stone. Then you got Buddhism, which is a stone, a Buddha, statue of Buddha. You got niggas in Hinduism. That's a statues. So them are stones, man. Stones and wood. Which our power is a living power, man. No, that's called idolatry, man. The Most High tell us don't even make any image of the things in heaven or on earth. We shouldn't have no kind of imagery, man. So he caused us, he caused that delusion to come upon you if you're in Christianity, Islam, and all these different religions. He caused that to come upon you where you're going to serve wood and stone. He said he's going to choose your delusion for you. Isaiah 66:4, right? So the Most High caused you to be blind. He gave you up to a reprobated mind, man. If you can't call on Yahweh and his son Yahweh shall come back and rehearse these laws, statutes, commandments to the best of your ability, the Most High gave you a reprobated mind, man. So who's doing that? That's us, man. We the ones serving all these different gods. We the only people without a God. Ishmaelites got their so-called God. The, the, uh, uh, the Elamites, which are your East Indian red dots, they got their gods. The Moabites, your Chinese, they got their gods. The Ammonites, the Japanese, they got their gods. You know, the Japhetic people, which are your Hawaiians, Filipinos, and Australians, they got their gods. The Hamites, your Africans over there, they got their gods. We the only people without their own God. We the only people that's serving other gods, man. We the only people, you so-called Negroes, Hispanics, Native Americans, that's in every other nation's so-called religion. And we the only people that doesn't have our own power. But we do have our power. We just not calling on him. Yahweh and his son Yahweh Shai. But 144,000 elect men of Yashael of Israel is going to call on Yahweh and Yahweh Shai. And then you're going to have 1/3, man, which are, you know, the friends, wives, and children, man. You know what I'm saying? And the Akims. They're going to call on the power of Yahweh, Ba'ashim Yahweh Shai. Let's go to 37. That's where we at? Deuteronomy 28:37. And thou shalt become an astonishment, a proverb and a byword among all nations, whether Yahweh shall lead thee. So the Most High led us into the four corners of the earth. You know what I'm saying? He calls us to serve other gods, wood and stone. And all these other nations, they know who we are. And they know about our power that deliver us out of Egypt, that part the Red Sea. They know about our power. And they know we don't. But they know if we call on our power, that our power will give us power and our power will deliver us. They know that. That's why they're keeping you lost. But Deuteronomy 28:37 says, and thou shalt become an astonishment. You know what I'm saying? So what's an astonishment, man? That's a thing of horror, man. That means people gonna look at you like you ain't shit, man. Look at you like you the lowest of the low. Just think about how you look at a known pedophile. You know this man is, you know these people are raping children. Matter of fact, let's just say this. Just see how people are looking at R. Kelly right now. Yeah, I'm talking about you Negroes, Hispanics, and Native Americans as well. But look at how these people are looking at R. Kelly. Look at how these people are looking at the Catholic Church. These popes that's out here screwing all these little boys. Can y'all picture that? Now that's how they look at you. That's an astonishment. They looking at us that same way. Why? Because we was once the greatest people in the world. We was the greatest nation in the world. Everybody followed what we did. We was the trendsetters. Man, we still are the trendsetters. Whatever we do, the other nations do. Whatever slang we come up with, the other nations mock us. You know what I'm saying? We grow our beards. Everybody else grow their beards. So, I mean, but we have become astonishment, which is something negative, man. The world look at us like we are a nation of pedophiles. You know what I'm saying? Like we ain't nothing. We the bottom of the bottom. Matter of fact, let's go to limitations. I'm gonna go to limitations. Hold on. Let's go to limitations right quick. I gotta give me a second. Let me put this over here. In 1 second. My stuff getting wet, so I want to put it over here so it can be up on the umbrella a little bit with me. But that's what the Most High said. He said, go out to the highways. He said, go out to the highways and byways, man. So we're going to have to deal with these elements, man. You know what I'm saying? A little bit of rain ain't going to stop my love for the Most High, man, for doing this work. So we're going to go to Limitations, man, and we're going to get on this thing about astonishment, man. And I'm going to start at Limitations 1. I'm going to read Limitations 1 down to 8. And we're just going to read, man, and see how we was such a great nation, man. We was like considered gold. You know what I'm saying? We was like precious gold and silver, man. That's what we were. Until we wanted to serve other gods, you know what I'm saying, and follow other nations instead of doing what our power said to do. Limitations, chapter 1, verse 1. How doeth the city sit solitary that was full of people? And you know, Israel is really sitting solitary. Israel is empty. Why is Israel empty? Because there's no life in Israel. There's no life in Jerusalem. Because the chosen people are not there. You so-called Negroes, Hispanics, and Native Americans are not in your homeland, man. It's the other nations in our land, man. You got the Palestinians over there, and you got the so-called white men, the Edomites over there, the Khazars, the Jewish people, Jewish, which means they want to be like a Jew, but they can't be like us. You know what I'm saying? They ain't got the melon, and they don't even know the name. They're not us, man. They're Edomites. They come from Esau, and we come from Jacob. How doeth the city sit solitary that was full of people? How is she become as a widow? So it's it's talking to Israel, it's talking to us as we were women, as we was a woman. It says, how did we become a widow? That means, how did our love leave us? Our husbandry leave us, which is Yahweh, our power. You know what I'm saying? And his son Yahweh Shai, the bride and the groomsmaid. The bridegroom and the, how you say it? When a husband, you got the husband and the wife, the groom and the bride, man. Yahweh is the groom and we're so-called bride. It says, how is she become as a widow? We became as a widow because we denied our power. We started following other gods, man. You know what I'm saying? We quit rehearsing these law, statutes, commandments and started doing what we wanted to do. We did everything the Most High said don't do. That's why we became a widow. That's why we ain't got no power. But now you repent, you come back, then you're no longer a widow. You back with your power, Yahweh, and his son Yahweh Shai. It says, so I mean, this is what the nations. So what I'm reading is what the nations is saying about us. So just look at what I'm reading. Is what all these nations. Hold on. You know what I'm saying? When I read this is what all these people on this board right here, this paper, these nations. This is what all these nations are saying about us. How is she become as a widow? She that was great among the nations, and the princesses among the province. How is she become tributary? So, like I said, that's past tense, we was great among all the nations, man. Because the Most High said, matter of fact, let's go to Deuteronomy 7:6. I'm going to show you what he said. Deuteronomy 7, is it 7:6? Yeah, Deuteronomy 7:6. For thou art an holy people unto Yahweh thy power. Yahweh thy power hath chosen thee to be a special people unto himself, above all people that are upon the face of the earth. And that was Deuteronomy 7:6. And that's what this is saying. Right here in Limitations chapter 1, mid-sentence, says, she that was great among the nations. We was great among the nations. Everybody feared us and reverenced us. When Solomon reigned for 40 years of straight peace. Everybody brought tributary. Everybody was tributary to him. Now we have become tributary to everybody else. Everything we get, we gives to them. And we get nothing in return. But when these other nations give to the so-called white men, Edomites, they get things in return. But when you Negroes, Hispanics, and Native Americans, you get nothing in return. You become tributary. Even with your job, You're supposed to get paid the same day before the sun go down. And that's a law. When you go put your work in, say if you went to work today, by noontime, before the sun go down, they're supposed to pay you your wages. But nah, they don't do that, man. They hold your money for 2-3 weeks. You got teachers, I think teachers get paid once a month. They hold your money for a whole month. I get paid every week. You got some people get paid every 2 weeks. So they hold your money. The military, these so-called soldiers don't get paid, and they don't even get their check till they get home. So that's just showing you the wickedness of these nations, man. They're supposed to pay you that same day. They ain't supposed to hold your money. So that's what we have become to. We're tributary to them. You know what I'm saying? We're their slaves. It says, she that was great among the nations, we was great, and we're about to be great again. And the princesses among the provinces, which means our women was the most beautiful women around, man. There was no women beautiful than our women. But you can go to Isaiah, I think it's 4, maybe 3, and you can find out the curses that the Most High put on our women. He said he's going to take the beauty from the fact. Give me a second. These precepts popping in my head as I'm trying to read. But let me see if I can find it. It says, one second. Let me see what it says. Okay, let me read Isaiah chapter 3, verse 24, just to show you that our women was the most beautiful women in the world, but they're not no more because of the curse the Most High put on them. It says, Isaiah chapter 3, verse 24, and it shall come to pass that instead of a sweet smell, there should be stink. Instead of a girdle, a rent. And instead of well-set hair, baldness. And instead of a stomacher, a girding of sackcloth. And burning instead of beauty. See, our women was, they was the icons of the world. Nobody was as beautiful as our women. I mean, even still to this day, nobody as beautiful as our women. You ask me. You know what I'm saying? You so-called Negroes, Hispanics, and Native American women are the most beautiful women in the world, but y'all the most wicked as well. You know what I'm saying? So that's what makes you ugly, your wickedness. But as the word says, let's continue. And the princes among the province, how is she become tributary? So, we became slaves, man. We in debt unto all the nations because we didn't want to rehearse these law, statutes, commandments to the best of our ability. Verse 2, Lamentations 1 and 2. She wept sore in the night, and her tears are on her cheeks. Among all her lovers, she had none to comfort her. And that's talking about all these nations that we went and all these nations we supported and we followed after them. When we was in our glory, we was following after these other nations, man, serving their gods and doing the things that they was doing. But once the Most High stepped back and took his power and glory from us, and then we fell into hell, which means in the lowest state of living, you know what I'm saying? We lost our glory and our power. Now our lovers don't give us comfort, which means all these other nations who we was dealing with and who we was following after, now that we're in this low state, don't even deal with us. You know what I'm saying? They look at us in astonishment, like, what the world? Who you? Get away from me. Everybody do blackface. Chinese, Edomites, so-called white men, the Moabites is the Chinese, the Japanese, which are Amons, the so-called white man, the Edomites. All these jokers doing black faces, man. You just go watch this junk on YouTube, man. They showing you how all these nations mock us, man. That's an astonishment. And so that her lovers comfort her. It says, among all her lovers, with all these nations we followed after, she had none to comfort her. Don't nobody got our back. You know what I'm saying? And we're not Africans. Like we said a long time ago, we was Africans, they would have came and got us. They ain't came and got us. Why? Because we're not Africans, we are Hebrew Israelites. It says, all her friends have dealt treacherously with her. They are all become her enemies. And that's talking about all these nations. All these nations was our friends. All these nations was our so-called friends. Read that again. It says, all her friends have dealt treacherously with her. They are become her enemies. All these nations, man. You know, the Chinese, Japanese, I mean, just think about all the nations on the face of the earth, man, was our so-called friends. You know what I'm saying? Everybody honored us, man, looked up to us. Now they became our enemies. We tributary to all of them. They're in our neighborhoods, man. You know, they beating our women up in their nail shops. You know what I'm saying? They shooting our men in the stores. That's your Chinese, your red dot East Indians, your Hamites. They all treating us like dirt. It says, among all her lovers, no, verse 3. I'm going to verse 3. It says, Judah is gone into captivity because of affliction, and because of great servitude she dealt it among the heathen. She's fixed it no rest. All her persecutors overtook her between the straits. And so what it means by Judah is going into captivity, that means you so-called Negroes, Hispanics, and Native Americans, Judah represents really the southern kingdom, you know, which we was took from the west coast of Africa and scattered to the four corners. But yeah, we went into captivity. And we still in slavery today. You know what I'm saying? You so-called Negroes, Hispanics, and Native Americans are still in captivity today. But I want to get into this part right here. It says, the ending part. It says, she founded no rest. That's talking about you Israelites. We ain't found no rest out here, man. There's no rest for our weary souls. It says, all her persecutors overtook her between the straits. So that means all these other nations, the straits represents a place of distress. Matter of fact, let me go to the blue letter right quick. Let me see if I can pull this up in the blue letter and give you this definition of the straits. Let me see. This is that word.
Strong's H4712. Made sad. Made sad.
So that's the Hebrew word, the so-called Hebrew word, because it ain't no E's in Hebrew. So the word probably is mustra, and it means distress, pains. So when we was at our lowest point, man, going through hell, you know, when our power, Yahweh, turned his back on us, all these nations came upon us and overtook us, man. And it says, verse 4, the ways of Zion do mourn, because none come to the solemn feast. All her gates are desolate. Her priests sigh. Her virgins are afflicted, and she is in bitterness. You know, just talking about we ain't got no leaders. You know what I'm saying? We ain't have no leaders. We got leaders now. Starting out with the apostles of Great Millstone. You know what I'm saying? But it says that that her gates are desolate. That means we didn't have no leaders. You know, these T.D. Jakes and Al Sharptons and Martin Luther Kings, you know, they wasn't good for us. But now that we got the apostles of Great Millstone, starting out with the head apostle Tahar, you know, we got great leaders now, man, who's teaching us this word the right way. And it says her virgins it says her priests sigh, which just means they in deep pain and distress because of what they see that the nation in, man. You know what I'm saying? The prophets of Great Millstone, man, the apostles, they sigh, man. They look out amongst our nations and see them in Christianity and Islam, and it hurts to the core, man. You know what I'm saying? They see IUIC misleading, you know what I'm saying, the people, the Hebrew Israelites. They see IUSPK misleading the Hebrew Israelites, man. Got them calling on Christ. You know what I'm saying? The apostles of Great Millstone, man, which is the head apostles of Israel, Yashaela, they side. They going through the pain, man. And she is in bitterness. Verse 5. Her adversaries are the chief. Her enemies prosper. For Yahweh had afflicted her for the multitude of her transgressions. Her children are gone into captivity before the enemy. So they're saying that the Most High put us through this because we transgressed, we went against him. You know what I'm saying? And our children have gone into captivity before our enemies, which is all these nations, from the Chinese to East Indies, all these nations had us in slavery. Verse 6, and from the daughter of Zion, all her beauty is departed. You know, and that's just not talking about the women, that's talking about the men too. You know what I'm saying? All our beauty has departed, man. We're no longer the glory of the world. We're in astonishment now. And all her beauty has departed. Her princes are become like harts that find no pasture. That's talking about the men. Her princes has come like harts that finds no pasture, which means a hart is a male, like a male deer. It means he finds no pasture. He don't see no green land where he can eat at. You know what I'm saying? And so that's how the men of Yashaela become. You know what I'm saying? That's how the Israelite men became. You know what I'm saying? We don't got no place to rest. We ain't got no place where we can eat. You know what I'm saying? Everything we eat is GMO, fake foods. And it says, and they are gone without strength before the pursuer. That means we don't have no power to fight back, man. We ain't got the strength to stand up against this so-called white man, the Edomites. But the Most High Yahweh gonna send Yahweh Shah to be our power. You know, our big brother Yahweh Shah, he gonna come and he gonna fight. He gonna fight for us. That's why the Most High said, "The vengeance is mine," said the Lord. And he said that let me see, it's not our battle is not with flesh and blood. It's a spiritual battle that we're fighting. And it's going to get physical when Yahweh Shah and the angels return. Verse 7, Jerusalem remembered in the days of her affliction and of her miseries all her pleasant things that she had in the days of old, when her people fell into the hand of the enemy, and none did help. The adversary saw her and did mark her Sabbaths. See, like the word say, none of these nations helped us when we was down and out. But now that when the Most High come, when Yahweh Shah come and lift us up, we're gonna do them like they did us. All these people going into captivity, all of them, they're gonna be tributaries unto us. And verse 8 says, Jerusalem had grievously sinned, therefore she is removed. All that honored her despise her, because they have seen her nakedness. Yea, she sigheth and turneth backwards. You know what I'm saying? So the Most High just caused us to be where we at, man, because we turned our backs on him. You know, we went backwards. You know what I'm saying? Instead of going forward with him, we turned our backs and started following these other nations and their gods. Now let's go back to I know that was a long precept. But hey, this word got to come out. Let's go back to I can hold it. Okay, this junk wet. Let's go back to what was that? 37. Okay, let's finish 37 out. Deuteronomy 28:37. And thou shalt become an astonishment, a proverb and a byword. You know, a proverb is like saying chicken niggas like watermelon and chicken. You know what I'm saying? It's like saying what they say, Hispanics like burritos or quesadillas. So that's what a proverb is, man. They just attach something to your name, attach something to something you do. They attach it to you as your name. And a byword is, you know, like they call us African Americans. They call them Hispanics. They call natives Native Americans. You know, a byword means two. So they call us bywords, different names. Who they're doing it to? You so-called Negroes, Hispanics, and Native Americans, man. And it says, uh, and thou shalt become an astonishment, a proverb and a byword among all nations, whether Yahweh shall lead thee. So everywhere we go, they calling us different. They calling us outside of our name. Let's put it like that. You know what I'm saying? They ain't calling you Judites, Issacharites, Ephraimites, Reubenites. You know what I'm saying? Levites, Benjaminites. You know, they calling us about our name. So I just got a warning on there. What the world? All right. Looked like it threw off and went back on, but we're gonna keep going. Um, verse 38. Thou shalt carry much seed out into the field, and thou shalt gather but little, for the locust shall consume it. So that means, you know, whatever we do, man, whatever work we do, no matter what you do, whatever you put in, you're not gonna get out what you put in. You know what I'm saying? You might be working a job, they probably paying you $12 an hour, but you deserve $20 an hour. You're not gonna get that. Verse 39. I'm gonna end with verse 39. It says, Deuteronomy chapter 28, 39, thou shalt plant vineyards and dress them. Thou shalt neither drink of the wine nor gather the grapes, for the worms shall eat them. You know, that means, you know, that even when we was out here, had our land and planting things, you know, we didn't prosper in it. You know what I'm saying? The Most High didn't send us our rain. You know what I'm saying? He let the seeds dry out. He sent worms to eat up our crops because what? We wasn't doing what he asked us to do. And not only that, he says, thou shalt plant vineyards and dress them, but neither shalt thou drink of the wine. And you can put that with let's say like the cognac liquor, like the liquor Jack Daniels, man. Or Jake, you know what I'm saying? So-called black man invented that, Jack Daniels. So but who got the rights for it? So-called white men, the Edomites. You know what I'm saying? So so-called a black man invented it, but a white man prospers from it. You know what I'm saying? So that's planting that vineyard and not even drinking of the wine. You know what I'm saying? So everything we do, we become tributary to the other nations. They receive everything we do. We don't get nothing. Like they say in prison, two hots in the cot. You know what I'm saying? But I'm gonna end right there. I'm gonna end with this right here because it's rain and I think I got fingertips done frozen up. But yeah, I'm gonna go ahead and end. And just want to say, man, it's time to repent, come back to Yahweh and His Son Yahweh Shai. And I just want to say, Barakatah Yahweh, Barakatah Yahweh Shai, Barakatah Yahweh, Ba'ashim Yahweh Shai. Shalom, Yasha'Elah.